The Two Casual MMA podcast, the podcast for the casuals from Two Casuals, as always, and with my main man, Kenny. Kenny, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. We are back. We're back.
We're just back.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, mate, I thought I'd start things off because our last one, we touched on your fight coming up. It is now 6 days until your fight, your big fight in Perth. When are you leaving? When are you leaving from Karratha to Perth?
To Perth, fly down Thursday. I fly down Thursday and then, do a bit of a weight cut on Friday and then fight on Saturday night. So, yeah, it's a big week, my second fight week. Can't wait.
Unbelievable, mate. And do you know what? You know how, I'm pretty sure in Muay Thai, you get taught how to, throw elbows and this sort of jazz and how dangerous they are. Well, I'll tell you what's even more dangerous right now. That chin of yours. Throw that around. Sharp.
The jawline, yeah.
It's sharp.
Now. I can have a shave now because I'm not hiding that double chin, so I can have a shave.
Just
feeling good.
Throw the jaw into it, mate. That's. Are you excited? What are the feelings and the emotions leading up to it? Are you excited? Are you nervous? What is it?
Everything, mate. Everything. I think it'd be pretty silly not to be a bit nervous for a fight. But I'm also excited. I think it'll be a good fight.
Mad, mate.
Get this weight cut done. I think we'll get the weight cut out of the way and then start thinking about the fight, and we'll be on. We'll be ready for a good time.
Then into some KFC.
I don't know about that. I've eaten so much chicken the last few weeks. I think I might be over chicken for a while.
Just some chips, mate. Potato and gravy. You'll be right. It's all good.
I love KFC, but I think it was the plan to have some KFC, but I don't know yet.
Mate, I want to start things off with mate, he doesn't say too much, but he's a larger than life character, and he's just taken the UFC world by storm. And I think I don't know where he is on in regards to popularity wise in the UFC. I'm talking about Poatan, Alex Pereira.
AP, how good! It's unbelievable rise,
mate. I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't actually know of any sport, let alone the UFC, where somebody has come and has achieved so much in a short amount of time. And I don't actually know if we will ever see that again, not only in UFC, but in sport.
Yeah, it's a crazy ride. I think Connor did it in a day sooner. I think the Mac Life posted a stat from when their first UFC fight to their double champ fight or something, and there's a day in it or something like that.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's them two. It's an unbelievable rise. I think the way that AP's doing it, it's just incredible. At this rate, he's going to be headlining every pay-per-view. He's there all the time. So it's just an unbelievable rise, and I don't know what else to compare it to.
He's getting the praise, which is very, very deserving.
Yeah. But
I don't think he's getting enough praise because this is unprecedented. What's going on in the UFC with Alex Pereira. I just feel like the big one for me is he's not tiptoeing to decisions either. He's flatlining blokes. And not only is he flatlining blokes, he's flatlining former champs.
Former champs, current champs, pretty much everyone they put in front of him. Just easy work. That makes it look easy. Why don't they wrestle him? Because they can't. They can't get close to him. It's so good to watch. I
spoke to you about it during the week, and a lot of people talk about Khabib Nurmagomedov and say, oh my God, just his presence and the way he was able to make Hall of Famers look like they shouldn't have been in there with him, because he did that. He did exactly that. He's beat Rafael dos Anjos and Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, all UFC Hall of Famers. Well, I think they will be, all of them at some point.
Yeah.
And made it look easy. And AP's he's doing the same thing, but in the striking realm. He is flatlining them. Yuri Prakasha, known wild striker, he's just doing it with ease. 2 fights now he's doing it with ease. Jamal Hill, regarded at one point as one of the most dangerous boxers in the UFC. No dramas. I just get kicked in the holy gonads, and then I'm just going to put you out.
Yeah, I think there may have been people have misread him because of the middleweight run, right? Because obviously he did what he did at middleweight, but he was cutting a lot of weight, so he was very chinny, and that was exposed at middleweight. But now at light heavyweight and potentially heavyweight, like I don't know if they even can hit hard enough to get close to him without him putting their lights out.
Pummeling.
Like it's unbelievable. His power, his presence, his aura. It's on another level at the moment.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Like he ticks every single box in what it means to be a superstar, and that's like the likability thing. Like he doesn't say too much, and he doesn't talk too much English, but he's got that Sharma thing. Like everyone's just frothing on the Sharma, like
Yeah,
Sharma. Everyone's loving that, and just like he has got so much charisma, like his own charisma that like that stare down with Yuri was stupid, and just he's just got that presence. Like it's like I wasn't around in that Mike Tyson era, but when Mike Tyson stepped in the boxing ring, like I've watched highlights on YouTube,
yeah,
he just had that presence where you're like, fuck, like I'm terrified of this bloke, and I think AP has the same. And then on top of that, he's fan friendly in regards to the way he fights. Like a casual fan who does not want to watch a fight where you think this bloke's going to put this bloke's lights out. AP has that threat every fight.
yeah. Absolutely. His mystique is only growing. He's 37 now, so I think that's why he's pushing to fight a lot to build him like before it's too late. So yeah, it's his mystique is unbelievable. I think it's his aura, like you said, like the Mike Tyson aura. I don't think we've seen it in UFC. Obviously, we've had superstars, but this is a bit different, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because we've had some like really crazy like power punches and people who can really like put people's lights out. And Francis Ngannou is the man that comes to mind for me because
Yeah.
he was just putting blokes like out stupidly, but he didn't have that scary presence. Like I get it, like he's got the frame and that, but he didn't have those cold that cold look about him, and it
Yeah.
just that scary presence about him that AP does. And I just think that's what probably transcends him more than somebody like Francis.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Never mind the Francis John fight. Let's see Francis and AP. How good would that fight be? That'd be
Do you mean
unbelievable.
do you mean John and AP?
No, Francis and AP.
Oh, Francis and AP?
Imagine that. I'd prefer that over John and AP.
Oh man, that's a big call.
I
But
think
like,
it's. I think because I don't think the John and AP fight goes as we would want it to go.
okay, so this
Yeah.
is where I'm leading. Because of his win over Yuri and just how dominant he's been over the course of his entire UFC career, um, it's opened up like a whole world as to what's next for AP after this. Because I want to touch on this first. I'm gonna give you a few people, and I want you to rank the likelihood or what you think of this. Could this happen? Okay, so
Righto.
the first one, mate, and I think it's the fair one, and I think it's what should happen, and it's Magomed Ankalaev.
I think it happens. I think it happens next for AP. I think he probably fights. It's maybe on that Abu Dhabi card. I'm not sure what month that is, but yeah, I think that's the next fight that happens for Poatan.
Do you think they book? Do you think they book it?
They kind of have to. Like, who else is there for him to fight at light heavyweight? And obviously, the heavyweight is congested at the moment up the top. So, like, if if Blades wins, he's not going to go fight Blades for the interim title.
Blades
Obviously,
ain't winning, mate.
we'll see. Won the first one, but so it really, and even if John wins, he's not just going to retire and give out the belt, and he's probably not
No.
going to fight AP. So I think the next fight is another light heavyweight title defense, and you can't keep fighting the same guys again. You can't fight Yarn again, or what's his name, the 300 guy, Jamal. You can't fight him again.
Jamal
Like,
Hill.
he made easy work of them. So and Ankalaev probably deserves a title shot. So
You think?
I think
You think?
that's
You think he does?
what 12 fight win streak or something like that.
Oh, please. What?
Something
Nah,
like
mate. No, he's got to really prove himself. Get to 20 first, and then we'll give you a shot at the title. I feel really sorry for Magomed Ankalaev, and I hope he does get like as much as I think the charisma level's not quite there.
Yeah.
I do think he deserves it. There's no ifs or buts.
In a
He has
sporting
to be
aspect.
next.
In the sporting aspect,
Oh
he definitely
yeah,
deserves it. But UFC is not he's not through and through sporting like that. So
no, it's not,
who
mate.
knows what they'll do. It's an entertainment business, so who knows what they'll do.
And another thing we touched on this as well is that Magomed Ankalaev gives AP more problems than every light heavyweight that he's fought so far. So
Although he did say he would knock him out, so maybe he does a stand with him. Who knows?
well, we'll wait and see, mate. But there's a few other options. Okay, so UFC 305, it's coming up. Perth, Western Australia, West is best. The headliner,
Yeah.
DDP, Israel Adesanya. And if Israel Adesanya is to become a 3-time middleweight champion, is there a chance that they do Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 3 this year?
At middleweight or at light heavyweight?
Either other.
Because I actually don't think either of them happen. Because I don't think AP is going back down to middleweight. There's no need for him to go back down there. And I don't think Israel goes to light heavyweight to fight AP. I think that's kind of a death sentence. So yeah, I don't think that happens this year, next year. Like, it's obviously they've had 2 fights in the UFC, 1 apiece each, but they are 3-1 total. So yeah.
So you don't think it's there for AP. You don't think AP really cares that much?
I don't think AP goes back down to middleweight. I think if Izzy comes up to light heavyweight, AP takes it, because I think it's he's probably licking his lips. But I don't think Izzy is that silly. I don't think he goes to light heavyweight to fight Pereira. He's just so much bigger than him. He's so much more powerful than he was at middleweight. So I don't think that happens.
Yeah, good call, mate. I think that ship sailed as well. I think though that there's still the doors still open there, because they know that it's a big money fight. They know that they could do like if Izzy wins, they could do like a champ versus champ sort of build up to it. It's a chance for AP to write some more history, being that he's now holding both belts at the same time. It's a chance for Izzy. Like I think it would have to be at 205.
Yeah,
because it gives Izzy a chance for double champ status.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that does. That does make a bit of sense, but I think it would be a huge risk for Izzy. Like, it's I don't think it turns out well for him.
Yeah, I think Izzy knows. I think Izzy sort of said, like, I've got my one win, and it's the most memorable out of all of them, and I'm good. And I'm good with that. I was like, all right, mate, a smart move from you. I think very, very smart move.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think whilst if both of them are champs, I think the door's open, but I don't think it I think the probability of that is probably like a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, fair.
And then there's 2 more. There's 2 more big ones. So the next one is the winner of Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. And I'm very confident that Tom Aspinall gets the double. Tell you, the GOAT heavyweight of all time, he's coming. Here it is. Could there possibly be a world where Aspinall defends his interim title, or Blades wins the interim title and puts it on the line against Alex Pereira?
It could happen. Maybe it could happen with like a late replacement or something again. I don't think they book AP for an interim title. Like, it doesn't make sense, because they want, it's kind of wasting him a bit. He's 37-year-old. Like, there's a chance for him to become the first 3 division champ. Winning the interim title doesn't get that. So I think they maybe force the winner, force the hand of the winner of the John Stipe fight to make a decision what they're doing, and go and then whatever plays out there. But I don't think that happens. I think that's a 1 out of 10 likelihood of happening.
Well, mate, like, I agree with you. I think AP is too big a star to be fighting for an interim title.
Yeah.
And that leads me, because as you said, John Jones posted on Instagram something like, I can't remember what it was, but it had a date on it. I think it was November 8th or November 9th or something like that. So something's obviously booked and something's obviously in the works.
It's the MSG card, yeah.
Yeah, but my God, please, I hope, and this is bad to say, I hope Stipe gets COVID and they just bring in Poatan and just make that shit happen. Because AP versus John Jones, man, that would rival Conor and Khabib for biggest fight ever. Like in regards to like putting bums on seats
Yeah.
right now, cashing it in. You got the greatest fighter in the history of the world on one side, and you've got this absolute monster, two-weight world champion in Alex Pereira. Like now is such a great time to make that fight too. Like whilst AP's like on top of the world at the moment.
And I think that like that's a chance of happening because I think AP will be the backup fighter for that fight. Like it makes absolute sense for him to be ready to go. There obviously John and Stipe, the history not making fights, etc. So well, mainly John, but yeah, I think Alex is definitely on standby for that one. He would be on speed dial, on ready to go, preparing for it. So I think that's I don't want. I still want to see John and Stipe. I don't want.
You don't want Stipe to get COVID, mate.
No, I don't want to get COVID, but I would not be disappointed if it turned out to be John and AP on that card.
I think what they have to do, if like, because they're going to book it, it'll be John and Stipe.
Yep.
What they have to do though, I think they should announce Alex as the backup, like even a couple of months prior, just to get people like on the edge of their seats, going shit. Like, something gonna? What if?
Yeah.
What if? Because then they're buying the card regardless. They're going to buy it anyway. It's John Jones, right? But like, man, like just have AP in the backup. But I think that if John wins, I think beating Alex Pereira might be the icing on the cake, mate, for his career.
It could be, but it could be he could see that as a huge risk to like as a spoiler for the end of his career. Like if he beats Stipe, he's beaten the best heavyweight of all time. He was the best light heavyweight of all time. Taking a fight against Pereira is a huge risk to sort of sour his career. So it would be a huge fight. It probably happens. They probably throw a boatload of money at it. But it also depends. Like you can't just keep looking over the interim champ, can you?
No, you can't either.
So it's heavyweight is very congested at the moment, and I think it's kind of derailing AP's trajectory at the moment.
You touched on that. John has got nothing to prove.
Yeah, no,
nothing.
I think so.
He's got nothing to prove. He actually doesn't gain any more from beating Alex Pereira.
I don't think he does. I think it's another good name for his resume, right? But his resume is stacked full of great names. So like,
what's the point?
Yeah, it's a huge risk. So I think they'd have to probably pay him a shitload, which they might. It would be a huge fight. So that could easily happen. So yeah, interesting.
Am I all for it though? Mate, 100%, because it's one of those fights like Jones versus Pereira. It's one of those fights that comes around like once every like decade, once every maybe 2 decades, that it really like, you know, every mixed martial arts fan or every combat sports fan, like a true combat sports fan, their eyes are on it. This is a big deal.
And because if Pereira gets another win in that time, if he beats Ankalaev, like his stock just rises, it just gets bigger and bigger. So it could definitely like contend with like Conor Khabib levels. It's a huge fight.
Just what if though? What if John cuts the weight and says, "Motherfucker, we're doing it at 205"?
I don't think John is the type of person to do that. But
where I ruled this shit.
That would be sick. I would be a fan of John if he did that then.
But like, again, man, like I want to see history. So I'd like to see AP do it at heavyweight and just be like, fucking just take it. Like,
three division world champion. No one's done it yet. He has the opportunity to do it. The UFC need to G it up. They need to get it cracking because he's 37 now, so they don't have a lot of time.
No, they don't. Nope.
So, but the thing is, John. I guess John is also 37, so
he doesn't have much time either.
Yeah, but yeah, putting him up against like Tom Aspinall might be a bit risky. Young, hungry bloke.
I feel a bit sorry for Tom because I think he's also in he's also in a lose-lose spot in a way, because I think if he beats Curtis, I think AP's still ahead of him in getting the John fight. So
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
isn't that wild?
And I wouldn't even like dislike it. I'd probably actually be like,
Yeah, I'd be like, huh. And I love Tom, bro.
yeah.
I love Tom, but like if they booked AP and John, I'd be like, oh well.
That's why, like, I think if John wins the CBA fight, I think UFC have to push him to either fight or take the belt, like either take the belt off him, like make him retire and make AP versus Aspinall if that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. But mate, the world is Alex Pereira's oyster, and mate, I'm all here for it. I absolutely love the bloke. I've become a massive fan over the last little while. I've even bought an AP shirt. Oh man, he's absolutely he's captivating. For a man that I can understand one word of his, I'm there. I'm hooked. I'm a fan.
just don't wear that shirt when he fights. Yeah.
No shirt wearing, mate. There's no shirt wearing when AP fights. We know the deal there. You wear one of those shirts, and it's a surefire way someone get knocked out cold. But mate, something fun here. I was thinking about it the other day, and there's been some great UFC rivalries, and the reason why this got brought up was because during the week I was watching the UFC 305 press conference, and I was watching Izzy and Drickus. And I thought to myself, okay, that's a pretty heated rivalry. And I thought to myself, what are some of the all-time great UFC rivalries? Now, we decided to make a list from 5 to 1. So you've got 5 to 1, I've got 5 to 1. And as we've done this previously before, I got brought into the sport based on Conor McGregor, 2015. So my list will be different. But another thing is, I know of some of the rivalries Conor and Jose, pre-Conor and Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to touch base on it because
you weren't.
I wasn't around in that time. So I could touch base on it a little bit, like for sure, but I can't touch base on it fully. So I'm going to go past Chad Mendes, Conor McGregor era, and do my 5 to 1 there. But mate, do you have any honourable mentions?
Well, we do the honourable mentions after, Because I don't know which ones I'm going to get. Yeah.
Right, hit me. Well, mate,
who knows?
You can kick things off. Number 5, who you got?
You're going to give me the first one? Are we doing 5 each or 5 together?
5 each.
5 each, righto. My number 1 is...
Not number 1, go from 5.
Oh, 5, okay.
You want to build some suspense, mate.
Right, yeah, 5.
Build some suspense.
Oh, that changes things. I don't even know what order I want to do these.
All right, do you want me to go? I'll go first.
You go first.
All right. So, mate, I'll do an honourable mention at the end as well. You know what? I'm going to do my honourable mention. Stop it. I'm doing my honourable mention at the end. Number 5 for me in all-time great rivalries. I couldn't stand either of them. I hate them both, but it's a great rivalry, and I got Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, that's a good one.
In my number 5 spot. The reason being is because just you could really feel the true animosity there between the two of them. And Cody coming off of the win against Dominic Cruz, at that point, man, I was like, this guy's the greatest fighter in the history of the world. That was a great performance against Dom. And obviously TJ coming off injury, coming straight into that. They had that rivalry because of back training with each other, back at what was the place they trained at? Thank you.
Team Alpha Male.
I was just about to say Alpha MMA. Wow. Yeah, Team Alpha Male.
Yeah.
I just thought I really bought into the animosity, and I liked the fact that both of them were strikers. They both genuinely hated each other. There was the Ultimate Fighter. There was just a lot of a backstory there. There was that story that, Cody dropped TJ in training, and then there was there was the leaked footage of that, and TJ was saying, hey, that's bullshit. I knocked you out, this and that. And it just led to that moment at MSG where, it couldn't have got bigger at UFC 217 there. Obviously, TJ got the win. We all know that. But Cody had his moment there where we thought, shit, what happens if there was a little bit of extra time in that first round? Does TJ lose that? And they obviously had their second fight, and TJ won that as well. But in regards to all of it, in regards to just that backstory, the pure hatred, because that's a big thing, really hating one another for me. And the fact that they're both fun to watch like fight, I
Yeah,
think that's
it's so
probably in my top.
exciting.
I think it's in my top five. I like Cody and TJ at five.
That's a great pick. I was similar. I was a TJ fan until until he got suspended. But yeah, I do agree. It's like both dislike both of them, but it was a great rivalry.
Yeah, man, it was really, really good. And when I was thinking of it, I was just like, that has to be in there for me.
There's this snake in the grass.
There.
Right, mate. My number
Here you go.
5.
Yeah.
I don't fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure these guys are the only guys that fight each other 4 times in the UFC and for titles. It's Moreno and Fig. Wasn't the most heated rivalry, but they went back and forwards, draws, wins, losses. Like it had it all. It was so good. Knockout finishes. They fought each other back to back to back. Like it was recent, the recent one, but that's my number 5 pick. Both very
Mate,
skilled fighters, both very close, like skill level, and not the most heated. Like it's not a crazy rivalry, but it was just 4 fights for the title against each other, and it was back and forwards. You know who was winning.
Mate, I really like that pick because, yeah, you're right. It wasn't the most heated rivalry, but every fight that they obviously, besides the first one, because I knew little about Brandon Moreno, and I thought to myself, Fig had that aura about him when he won the title. It was like, shit, like he's just going to knock every bloke out. He's going to sub him. He can do it all. And it was surprising just how close that fight was, that first one. So you thought, shit, like, this rematch is going to be big. And then every fight after that, you are spot on. Every fight after that, I didn't know who was going to win. It was 50-50.
Yeah. It was a sick rivalry. They could even, they're still both pretty active in their divisions. They could even fight again. Get them again. Keep them going.
Figueredo versus Moreno 10. Just book it. But no, in all honesty, mate, that's a great pick because not often do people fight 4 times. And you're right, it was 4 times for the title.
Yeah, and I don't even know if anyone else has fought 4 times each other inside the UFC. Possibly someone, but that was 4 title fights against each other. So good.
Because Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber fought each other 3 times in the UFC, right?
I think one was WEC.
WEC. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it was in the UFC.
Okay, that's a great pick, mate. Number 5, I really like it. Mate, yeah. Number 4. Number 4 is also pretty recent. We just spoke about the man. I can't not put that in my top 5, but it is Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya.
That's a good one, mate. It's a good one. It's on my it's on my list of picks but yeah, it's a good one.
I had to do it, mate. I just thought, like, talking about AP, that didn't get me over the line. It's funny, mate. I had Cody and TJ in my mind before this one, just because of the hatred.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about it, like, both of them are legends of the sport, and both of them they have that. It's not like a really heated rivalry though between the two of them, but when you have 2 people that are so high up in the sport and just the finishes in both of them were just fucking out of this world. Like when AP got that late finish against Izzy, I was like, fuck me. I was like, wow, this is happening again.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, because I didn't know AP too well, I was like, this fucking bloke, like this boogeyman, he's a fucking freak. Anyway, and then Izzy pulled off, like, in Miami. In my opinion, it is one of the greatest wins in UFC history. I'll give him that. It really is. And it's a fucking iconic knockout. And it makes it even better now that AP's gone on this run. Yeah. But just like I think the shared mutual respect between the two, they are probably each other's greatest rival. And 2 highly skilled kickboxers, mate. And 2 of the biggest stars in the UFC. I mean, I just couldn't put them not in the top 5.
I actually rewatched their first fight in the UFC the other day, and fuck, that's a good fight. That's an unbelievable fight. It's so high level, like high level kickboxing, so good. And for AP to pull it off, to come back and get that win in that fight is so good. The rivalry, it transcends UFC. It started years before they both got into the UFC. Yeah. You have Izzy making the comments about the guy sitting in the pub saying I beat that guy, but no, that guy comes to the UFC and knocks you out, and he's probably competing legacy on legacy is very close now. So
that's right, mate. Great point.
Yeah, it's an all-time rivalry for sure.
Yeah, it's a story that transcends the sport.
Yeah.
That's you put that really well. That is very very true, and it's nice hearing you give Izzy his props, saying he's highly skilled.
It hurts, but he's a very good fighter.
He is good. He is very good, mate. But yeah, that's my number 4. Izzy and AP.
Right, my number 4. It's actually another one that kind of transcended UFC. Started before the UFC. It's Ronda and Misha.
That's a great pick, mate.
Started Ronda got into the UFC. She'd beaten Misha previously in Strikeforce, and then they got to the UFC. Misha went on a run. Obviously, Ronda did what Ronda done. They did the Ultimate Fighter. It's kind of the narrative kind of flipped because Ronda kind of exposed herself a little bit to the fans, and I think Misha got a bit more of a following and bit more of the fan base, like their personality sort of come out, and then obviously they fought, and Ronda did what Ronda does, but it's one that it happened started prior to the UFC, and then it was exposed and highlighted through the Ultimate Fighter.
So two girls who genuinely they have that genuine hatred for one another.
Yeah, because I remember before the Ultimate Fighter, I was Team Ronda. Like Misha seemed like the nasty one, but then Ultimate Fighter happens, and you're like, oh, actually Misha is the nice one. Like it flipped, and you're like, oh, that's probably like maybe Misha is right. Ronda is a bit of a shit person. So yeah,
I think when a rivalry can do that, mate, like when something can the rug can get swept out from underneath you, I think that is a very, very special sort of thing in sport or in life where you think, oh yeah, Ronda's really nice. Oh, Team Ronda, and something happens and you're like, hang on, shit, like no, it's actually the other way around. Like I think it's the other way around because there's obviously people out there that probably still like Ronda over Misha, but I think that's a good pick because it's something different as well. Like it's like that, everybody likes when you watch a television show, for example, everybody likes, that curveball. It's like, oh fuck, like that actually happened. What? So like if this can happen in sport, it's a big deal. And I think that's a good pick at number 4.
That's my number 4 pick. Had to get some females in there. The female MMA has exploded it's like since Ronda pretty much. So yeah, had to give them a shout out as well.
You're a nice guy because I've got absolutely no females in my top 3. None. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but like, mate, coming in at number 3, it's probably the most fun rivalry that I've ever had the privilege of watching in regards to the UFC. Still to this day, I still watch some stuff on YouTube, and I still kick back, and I have very fond memories of it. And I'm like, yeah, their chemistry together was all time, and it is Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I'll strike that one off my list.
Yeah, it was. You can still put it there, mate. You can still put him in the top 3 if you agree. You can just kick back off like on it. But
yeah, okay.
Mate, it was just their chemistry was otherworldly. Like they just fed off one another so well. I felt like two guys who probably are cut from similar cloths, but they're different at the same time. And at that time after Nate beat Donald. Who did he beat? Remember when he was piecing up? Yes, Michael Johnson. Yeah. I remember watching that fight because he just boxed him up. I remember watching it. That's right. And he's just like it started from that great call out.
Yeah.
And then I remember like at that time I was like, oh yeah, like Nate's good, but like Conor's got bigger fish to fry. And then after the Conor and RDA thing didn't happen, I was like, well, shit. And then they pulled in Nate Diaz, and then just from there, it just exploded.
Yeah, because Nate and the Diaz brothers obviously already had a huge following in the MMA community. Nate's obviously Nate, so it clicked. It went so well, and Nate kind of derailed this hype train of Conor, like that nobody expected it to happen. Nobody expected Nate to submit Conor, and it happened, and that obviously that G'd up the second fight. So it's an awesome one.
And then on top of that, mate, like their second fight is one for the ages.
Yeah,
it's one because it didn't have any like big moments where it was like obviously Connor got knocked Nate down 3 times, but it didn't have those like it had no like real big oh shit he's getting choked out or shit he's going to get knocked out moments.
Yeah.
Because even when Nate got dropped, I was like, it's fine. But the only holy shit moment was that was at the end of round 2.
Is that when
Connor was against the fence getting pumped.
Yeah.
And that's the only holy shit moment where I was like, fuck, this could end right now. But the thing that made the second fight so good was the fact that Connor lost the first one. Yeah. And in the second fight, there was so many different momentum swings. It was just very seesawing. Like, oh yeah, Connor's won round 1. Nate took over at the end of round 2. Round 3 came and Nate put all the pressure on. Connor's looking tired. Connor's gassed. Round 4, he takes that one. Then round 5, it was just like, Nate won the 5th round, but Nate got that like takedown towards the end of it as well. And it was just, I think, just because of how seesaw of an encounter it was, I think it just makes it that epic. But at the end of the day, mate, it's their chemistry that is what it is.
Yeah, that press conference they had in California for the first fight, like to kick it all off, that was all time.
What's your favorite Conor Nate line?
Oh,
there's a lot, mate.
I don't know. I probably can't think of it off the top of my head, honestly, but yeah.
My favorite, hands down, it always makes me laugh, is when they're with that lady that like on CNN or whatever it is, and it's just like, agree. And it's just like, he's like, Nate, can you count to something or other if you can? And Nate's like, Nate can only count to 5.
Yeah, I agree. I love
and he's like, and bring me my coffee.
It's the money channel.
Oh, it's when Nate says, "What is this?" It's the money channel.
So good.
It's really, really good. But mate, honestly, if I say one and you want to piggyback off it at any point, and it's in your number 2 spot, number 1, just we'll piggyback off.
No, I got a list. I'll divert and get some other ones going. Yeah. What am I up to? I'm up to number 3 now, eh?
Yep.
All right, my number 3. It's probably the most intense rivalry in UFC history. It's John and DC at light heavyweight. Big. Back and forwards, failed drug tests, DC crying, genuinely hating each other. You think I'm just going to let you kill me, John? Like this.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, probably the most intense real rivalry, I think, in UFC history. Like, just so like they got into the scuffle at the media day or whatever it was. Yeah. So I think that's my number 3. It was very intense. It was very emotional on both sides. It was emotional for the fans. Like watching DC get knocked out like that was brutal.
Do you remember us watching it at the pub?
Yeah,
I was shattered. At the time, I was like, "Oh, tough." No, I was Team DC all the way. I was like, "Ah."
I think everyone was, and it was just it was heartbreaking to watch that.
Horrible, mate.
And it kind of still lives on to this day. Like you see the recent clips of John talking to John Anik with DC in there as well, and DC is not enjoying it. Like he doesn't want to.
No, you can tell.
Yeah, I think that one would never actually die. I don't think they will ever be on board with each other. Like, so I don't think we'll ever see DC giving John an octagon interview.
Yeah, isn't that wild to think that? Like, DC would probably never jump in there and do it.
I don't think it happens.
Wouldn't it be a weird dynamic if he did?
It would be.
Okay, everybody, give it up for John Jones.
Yeah, John wouldn't not be able to would dig it in. DC would hate it. So yeah, it's
mate. You're absolutely spot on. I think similar to when I touched on TJ and Cody, the genuine hatred for one another. I think, I think John and DC's obviously probably much more deeper, darker, and probably the fact that they're 2 of the all-time greats of the sport as well probably solidifies that as an all-time great rivalry, mate. So I think that's a great pick at number 3.
Were they I think they were they number 1 and 2 when they fought pound for pound, maybe? Like it was.
I'm not 100% sure because I'm pretty sure Islam and Volk might have been the first ever.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
But in a lot of people's eyes, mate, because I think DJ was around at that period of time.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
but in a lot of people's eyes, mate, probably would have thought that these are two of the best blokes fighting each other in the world as well. And the fact they got a heated rivalry on top of that, it's
Very
just
intense stuff, that one.
The best, mate. My last two, they're very, very intense rivalries.
What have you got?
But my number two rivalry is Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Number two only?
It's my number two.
Number one. Yeah.
It's my number two because my 1 and 2 chopped and changed a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I was like what? Like, I could go either way here. Obviously, I'm not going to say too much because it's going to probably reveal my number one, but with Conor and Khabib, in regards to the build up to the fight, it's I think it's number one by a landslide. That was just like everything was so poor taste. It just left a bad taste in everyone's mouths, but at the same time, it brought so many eyeballs to the sport. Like, and still to this day, it is still the biggest pay-per-view of all time, UFC 229. 2.4 million pay-per-view buys with the next best at 1.8. That's saying something right there. The fact that you had that mystique with Khabib being undefeated. He's just been smashing blokes left, right, and center. And Conor hasn't fought since the Floyd Mayweather fight. Hadn't fought since beating Eddie Alvarez in the UFC. Hadn't fought in the UFC.
Yep.
So obviously there's a lot of hype there. And the fact that Conor is Conor. And just everything built up to it, mate. The bus throwing incident. Sorry, not the bus throwing. The dolly being thrown at the bus.
Yeah.
The fact that they had a little bit of a mateship, if you will, at some point. Oh, hey, come and train with me. Yeah, no dramas. That sounds good. There's that photo of them holding each other. Obviously, there's the time where, Khabib says, Russia 150 million, Ireland only 6 million. He's like, well, fight with your chicken. No, it's funny that on the night that Conor became a 2-weight world champion, again, with both of their personalities as well, like they're two very larger than life people as well. Khabib is in his own way very larger than life. I think it's just a recipe for just success in regards to putting bums on seats.
Yeah, you're right. It was absolutely massive. It was a very heated rivalry, similar to John and DC. They genuinely hate each other. I believe. Like Conor likes putting on a show. I think there was an aspect to it. Conor dislikes Khabib very much. So probably more so now that he lost to him. But yeah, I think it was very intense. Obviously, all the incidents and everything, all the shenanigans leading up to it, making it the biggest fight of all time in UFC history. So it deserves to be up there with the best rivalries in UFC.
You make a great point because I think that's part of the reason why it might be my number two, because there was that part in the octagon where Conor says it's only business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that part of me goes, is he doing this for business purposes as well? Because Conor is very business minded.
Yeah.
I do believe what you just said in regards to the hatred. I believe Conor hates Khabib.
I don't believe he did before the fight. I do believe he does now.
But I think Khabib hates Conor as well.
Through and through, yeah.
So I think there's just that level of theatrics as well to it, which made me go, that might pull me down to the number two spot.
And then, of course, the stuff that happened after the fight, like
that jump in the cage,
craziness.
That was stupid, mate. That will never happen again in the history of UFC. That was nuts.
That only happens in Darren Till boxing fights now.
That was wild. Anyway, we'll touch on it another time, but. I think in regards to everything, if you talk about the build up, if you talk about, like two all-time legends of the sport, the fact that they dislike each other, two larger-than-life characters, this and that, I think it deserves to be top two minimum. I don't think it deserves a top three spot. It's top two.
Fair, mate, fair.
Biggest fight in MMA history.
Easy. Not even close.
Mate, I'm dying to find out what these last two are.
My number two is goes back a little bit. Goes back to kind of pioneer era, or not really pioneer, but it's the greatest of all time, and Anderson Silva. It's Chal and Anderson.
How good! That's a
It
great
was
rivalry.
It's so good. Chal kind of he didn't really come out of nowhere, but I think he come from Strikeforce. Got a couple of wins in the UFC, and this started going hammer and tong at Anderson, calling for that title fight. Nearly got it done. He was winning that fight until he wasn't. So that he G'd up the second fight. He was carried on like he did win the first fight with his interviews, all that stuff. That one, that was like Chael made you think he hated Anderson, when obviously, like, in hindsight, he didn't hate him, but like there was Chael's very good at that sort of like promo, WWE promo type
Yeah,
stuff.
he is,
So,
man. I think he's the best.
Yeah, I think in MMA, yeah, for sure. So I think, yeah, he, like, there was genuinely like, oh, this guy hates Anderson, and Anderson was the greatest of all time. Then he was cleaning out everyone, and then Chael comes along and nearly gets it done in that first fight. The second fight was a bit disappointing, but he nearly gets it done, and then that leads into the second fight. Like, can he beat Anderson? So I think, and obviously Chael is the greatest trash talker in UFC history. So that's a great rivalry.
I think part of what we're touching on here, I'm seeing like a trend, and the trend is it's the chemistry between the two.
Yeah,
I feel because you got Anderson Silva, the world's nicest guy, and then you got Chael just there, just like comical, just talking shit, like on top of it. So it's, in a weird way, the comical talking bollocks, and then like next to a guy who doesn't really talk too much at all, and is like comes across as the world's nicest bloke, is regarded as the greatest fighter to have ever lived at that point in time. It's just a recipe for box office success again.
Yeah, you need two to tango. Like in all these,
that's
it.
it.
You need two. You can't have a one-sided affair. Like it doesn't work. Doesn't pop off. So yeah, you need, for a rivalry to be like legendary, you need both parties to be participating their fair share.
And you said that on top of that, their first fight also probably capped off the fact that it might be one of the greatest rivalries ever because of how good that fight was and how close Chael was to winning it.
And then Anderson to pull that off in the last round, in the last 2 minutes or whatever it was, to pull off that triangle, losing the fight.
Stupid.
Unbelievable work.
Stupid, bro. It's a great choice.
Chael.
It's a great choice, mate.
Yeah.
Well, mates, number one, greatest rivalry in UFC history. And as I said, with Conor and Khabib being my number two, there was like the hint of, there was the hint of, is it just for entertainment purposes? Is it not? Well, that's the reason why this one was pushed to my number one, because there was absolutely not for entertainment purposes. And you've already touched on it, but it is John Jones versus Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
It's my number one, mate. The reason why I didn't want to touch too much on it when you were dissecting it at number three was because it was my number one.
Yeah.
And it's just because of everything that you said. Like there are so many moments that we can think about where it's like, oh, like it really pulls on the heart. It's like because I really cared about DC and I really wanted DC to win. I was really pulling for DC, and it's the good versus evil vibe. But at the same time, like a lot of the crowd was on John's side, and DC was kind of seen as the heel as well, which makes it kind of interesting. And it touches on you talking about Ronda and Misha, how like it sort of pulls it out, because it changes all the time.
It changed, yeah.
Yeah, and I just think DC has a huge part to play in this rivalry being as great as what it is, because John's regarded as the greatest ever, and at that point in time, he was probably regarded as the greatest ever then. And at that point as well, when they're leading into their first fight, DC was dominant. Like DC was like beating great people. And even I think what makes it even better is in between the second fight with John, after the second fight with John, DC still was dominant. And it just shows that these two are two of the best ever. Like best mixed martial artists ever. You put all the bullshit aside, you can talk about their personalities. In regards to skill for skill, these are two of the best ever. And the fact that they absolutely despised one another on top of that, rivalries don't come much rawer and more real than John Jones and DC.
Yeah, like you said, I think DC kind of exposed John a little bit, similar to the Misha Ronda stuff. Like, I think John was the fan favorite leading up to the first fight. And then obviously the shit happened, what happened after the fight, and John tests positive and all that type of stuff. And the narrative kind of changed. And I think DC was getting booed a lot in that first fight, or like lead up to that fight. And then come second fight, DC all of a sudden is a fan favorite. He's getting more cheers and stuff. So it makes a great rivalry when everyone's so invested and it chops and changes, and unbelievable work.
The best, hands down, I was talking about with Connor and Nate, like the best line is, and it kills me to say it, is when John says, "Hey pussy, you still there?" Yeah. It's the best. Yeah. And then it just goes from there. Like he's like, "No, I'll literally kill you." He's like, DC's like, "You're not just gonna come in here and kill me, John." Like,
I think I'm just gonna let you kill me, John.
And he's like, "No, I will actually kill you." Like it's just the back and forth, and like DC just like, "You are such a fake pussy." He's like, "Your PR team, like bravo to them."
Yeah, and I think everyone caught on, and like, yeah, John is a bit of a sociopath. Like, it is, we've kind of exposed him a bit.
Another great line that I just thought of, it's the best as well, is when John says to DC, you look like a crackhead with a suit on. And then DC's like, "I may look like a crackhead, but I've never actually been a crackhead."
Yeah, it's a great one. It's a great one.
And it just threw it straight back in his face. It was like, well, what do you say to that?
Yeah.
But like, when you look back at it, like both of their resumes and both of their capabilities and their attributes and how good they were as fighters, it's going to withstand the test of time. And the fact that they hated each other on top of that, they both got each other when they were both in their prime. Unfortunately, DC came up short 2 times, but it's all time, mate. It's their first fight, even though like it went to majority decision, a unanimous decision, it was still a good fight.
Yeah.
It was still a good fight. The second one was a sick fight too.
It gave us hope for the second fight.
Until that head kick, man, that just killed me. And when DC started crying, stop. That was the worst. Anyway, that's my number one rivalry, just purely because it is absolute hatred at its best for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. My number one. I was debating. It's got to be a Connor one. I didn't want to put too many on my list with Connor, but I was throwing up whether it's Connor Khabib, but I think I'm going with Connor and Aldo. I think
nice.
That's where, like, I was fully into the UFC at that point, and like Connor came along. I was all for the content. I think that set Connor on a trajectory that lead up to that fight, just for superstardom. Obviously, the result like helped as well, but I think if that fight can have the same result and not set Connor off, like if he doesn't, like if it wasn't for the build up for that fight, you know what I mean? Like that's still like a 13-second knockout. It's still unbelievable, but I think Connor put in the groundwork, put in all the lead up to that fight, the stealing the belt, the calling him a pussy, all that stuff. Like it's ripping up the photo. I think that was in Rio. The press conferences.
Terrible.
I think all of that just and got to Aldo. Aldo's never lunges. Aldo never like overextends or anything, and he done it immediately, and he got to Aldo with his antics, and it set Connor on a trajectory to superstardom. I think that the build up and that rivalry,
mate. I think that's a great number one, because you're right. Like that build up was all time. Like that was absolute all time mental warfare to somebody. Like Connor absolutely got in his head.
We don't get Connor and Khabib the level it is if we didn't get that Connor Aldo fight.
Yeah, that's a good, mate. That's a great point. it just, you're right. Like, do you think? Okay, do you think the actual fight itself plays a part in it being your number one, or is it the lead up?
Yeah, I think
Purely the lead up.
definitely fight. Like knocking out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, absolutely. Yeah, it plays a part. Like if it's a I don't know if he knocks him out in round 2 or 3 or something, I think it's a bit different. But it's
That just how it happened.
like 13-second knockout of one of the greatest of all time, and it's to make him like fight uncharacteristically, make him do something he's not used to doing because due to the build up. Like, yeah, it was. That's my number one. I love that rivalry. Love watching the embedded.
It's a sick rivalry, mate.
I think that's the embedded series was like that's when it really set off. Like, really went crazy because everyone was loving that.
Mate, it is. I don't want to hear about anything. It is the greatest knockout in UFC history. It is the greatest because how quick it happened against the number one pound for pound fighter at the time, which then set off Conor's career.
Yep.
And brought the UFC like to the world.
Yeah, Conor was already on track to be a UFC star, but I think that really set him off to be a global superstar. Like everyone's him. Like, what happened? How's this happen? Like, yeah,
that's what made the UFC what it was. That knockout, I feel like single-handedly changed the UFC forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely did.
And that mental warfare, mate, similar to when I was touching on it with Anderson and Chael, it's like, Jose's a bit quieter and, very well respected and very well liked. And then you got this dickhead coming in just saying like all this shit. Like, my God, just good old, like when Conor walked in, when they were like having this like interview and like sat behind Jose and he like was touching him on the shot. Like even just stuff like that is enough to make you want to absolutely kill someone.
There was no let up. I'm like it was just
none.
Any time the cameras are on, probably even like it was on the entire time, getting into it, like talking, so like just getting into his head.
What's your favorite Conor insult to Jose? Because you can't really say too much about Jose to Conor. What's your favorite?
Oh, when he's in the car and he says "pussy" or something like in Portuguese.
Otário.
Yeah. It means pussy. Yeah, and then he laughs.
Oh,
yeah.
It's the best, mate.
It's so good.
Like,
that's my favorite.
I don't know what my favorite is, mate. I really do. I like when he says like he goes, I can smell his pussy from here. He's on the lounge with the goldish suit on. He's he's like, it's got a beautiful aroma that amuses me, or something he says. I'm just like, whoa,
it's unbelievable.
He's the best. Yeah. Like, and I think like the more I think about it, mate, that's the more I really like that pick. I loved it when you said it, but how it changed the UFC forever.
Yeah, it sent Conor, sent UFC on a trajectory that they like just to the moon.
Man, that's a great pick, and I like the fact that it finished with the Conor one, mate. Because I was thinking, shit, there's no Conor ones. What's going on? I thought to myself, because I put Nate and put Habib in there, I was like, is he picking?
I could have put all of them in there as well. Like they're like probably right. They probably are all in the top 5, but had to change it up a bit.
Made a little joke previous to this podcast, just saying Conor was going to be 5-1 for me.
How good would it have been if we both just went Conor.
Just Conor.
We are the two casual MMA podcasts.
Oi, you could actually make a top, like you could make probably a top 10 list of Conor's greatest rivalries, and that extends outside of MMA.
Even Conor and Eddie was that's unbelievable at 205. Like that's a sick rivalry. That's a sick build up.
What about Conor versus cardiovascular system?
Yeah, he needs to work on that one.
Like, come on. Yeah. But man, it's just. I mean, we could do another podcast on that another day very easily. But some great rivalries in there, mate. It was nice going down memory lane in that regard. It was awesome. So
what's your honorable mentions? Give us one.
I got my number one, mate, and it just didn't cut it for me because it was just a bit too nice in a way. But and the fact that it was very lopsided, and it's Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski.
Very lopsided. Every fight, very lopsided.
Just because, please, the second fight was a win for Max. Let's go.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's just because, again, similar to John and DC, two of the greats. Yeah. But their rivalry wasn't like heated. It wasn't like a heated rivalry. And the fact that Volk has won all three on top of that as well, like it just sort of goes, it's a rivalry that I definitely care about a hell of a lot. But in regards to top five all time, it probably just misses the cut for me.
That's fair. My honorable mention, it's a bit different. It's Dominic Cruz versus Team Alpha Male.
I love that.
The entire team. I love that. He had his beef with Uriah. Then he had his beef with, he beat Uriah twice. Then he had his beef with TJ, beat him. And then he had the beef with Cody and lost, got humiliated by Cody. Like it went on for years and years and years. They threw everyone at him. And he just kept making fun of them, kept making them look silly until Cody came along and made him look silly. That's my, like, bro, I wanted to add it in there, but yeah. See, Dom versus the entire team of Team Alpha Male.
I love that one. One of my favorite quotes is when Dom says to TJ, "We have to talk to me, you dummy."
Yeah, that's what we're here
for. You have to talk to me, you dummy. Just like how he just looks at him like, you have to talk to me, you dummy. But that's a great one, mate, because he has had huge rivalries with three blokes.
That's kind of another one that, like, I was on Uriah and TJ's side, and then by the time he fought Cody, I'd switch sides. Like, it's another one that changes. Like,
because Dom has that way about him, mate, where like there are parts of him where you're like, oh, dude, you come across like a bit of a dickhead.
Yeah.
And there's other parts where you're like, I kind of like it as well. Fun fact, though, mate, is I actually met Dominic Cruz on the plane from Perth to Sydney and shook his hand. I was like, because we were just walking by. I was like, oh, mate, he was very nice. He said hello. Like, it didn't feel forced and didn't feel like I was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, nice.
It was just super nice. Had a smile. He said, hey mate, not hey mate, but like he said, hey, like, how you going? Did you enjoy the fights? I was like, oh yeah, like just having a little chat. So shout out Dom Cruz. If you want to get on Two Casual MMA podcast,
you love meeting UFC fighters in planes and airports.
Robert Whittaker as well. Keep it coming. Yeah. Keep it coming. But yeah, man, that's a great one. I love that. That's Dom versus Team Alpha Male.
Yeah, mate.
Before we get going, I just want to say, best of luck in your fight on Saturday, mate. It's going to be big. I wish I could watch it, but I'm sure I'll leave no doubt that, come on, you're going to get this dub. Let's go.
I'm feeling good. I had my last sparring session on Friday and felt really good. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
What time's it on?
I think it usually starts at 6 p.m. Perth time, and I'm one of the first fights. So be done and dusted pretty early, and then watch some sick fights after that. That's
sick, mate. Go get him. Go knock him out. Let's go. Yeah. I wish I knew his name. I'd shout him out right now and say, "You're going down, bitch. You're going down." But mate, that's another one for the books. Another podcast. Back next week. I'm keen to come back with a W from you, mate. Either way, I'll be looking forward to just hearing about different things and how you felt and that sort of jazz. But that was fun going down memory lane with the rivalries, mate. I really enjoyed it, and we should come up with a couple more.
That's good, mate. That's good. We'll keep it up. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, gang. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. Try and keep rolling here. Too Casual. Until next time, gang. Peace. No fuck ups. How good.